I've worked as a product leader and built products for over 20 years now in a variety of different teams, very focused typically on businesses and enterprises, whether that's, some of Microsoft's largest products for developers in the enterprise, or, after that, I was at a company called Hearsay Systems. It's very focused on specific use cases, and that kind of allowed us to really zoom in. And so I've seen everything from very general purpose to very targeted. And the thing that I would say always comes up, because the people that I talk to all the time are typically technologists and engineers, and they love to build things and they love to use new technologies. And I think the real magic and challenge, frankly, for good products is being able to take those and actually solve problems that the person is having in a way that they naturally want to work. So after a long time of doing this, you can actually go in and talk with someone. And when we talk with our users, we're not asking them really what they want. What you really are looking at is, what do they do? Like, what are they doing today? Why are they doing that today? Why do they need to send that? Why do they need to write that down? Where does that go? Are there other things that they would like to do if they had more time? And then what you're doing is taking that, what we think of as like user need. And it's really critical in the product to focus on needs, not things that are nice, but things that are actually moving the needle for them. And, otherwise what ends up happening is you have a product that people, and there's a long history of these, but people kind of like to see the demos of and they use a little bit, but then doesn't really get any long-term traction or usage. So you take what they need. And at the end of the day, the thing that they need to do ultimately is their job. And so if you understand how their job works, you can then take the technologies underneath and say, okay, how do we do this in a way that really removes and kind of accelerates as much of that job as possible by doing what they need to do and essentially having the technology do that for them. One of the methods that we use internally, it was something that I think Airbnb started actually, is, and this allows you to like separate from the technology, is you think of what's the dream experience for this person, right? So if I'm like, let's say a financial advisor, the dream experience for me is that I probably have someone join this meeting and they know my business really well. They know the client really well. And they're just writing everything down that's there. And they're kind of compressing it into the things that really matter. And I walk out of that meeting and they're like, yep, that's the information you need. I put it in your back-end business systems as you need it. And I've already scheduled the 3 follow-ups that need to happen. That is a very challenging situation for a variety of reasons for all of these people to do. But what we do is you kind of look at the dream scenario, and then you start to say, okay, how much of that dream scenario can we actually implement with technology for this person? And so we may not be able to take the multiple hours that they're spending and totally remove that. The better product, as an example, may be taking the multiple hours and reducing that to minutes, right? Versus fully automating something. But ultimately, it really goes down to understanding what they need, what they're doing in their job. And just as you look at all of these different technologies that we've worked on over time, you start to see a lot of these patterns, right? You start to see a lot of situations where, like, if you look at just the privacy and security things that we built into Zocks, that's from like 20 years of building software for enterprises that we know, they like enterprises need to know what's happening with their data. They need to be able to see it. They need to be able to validate it. And they need like electronic protections to make sure that the right things are happening. Those things are easy to say. It's pretty hard to build that into a platform. And so like there's a lot of these things, underneath all of the technology that we can essentially build in just from the background that we have working with these. And having worked with some of the largest banks, which frankly have some of the largest kind of compliance and IT security teams, you just understand the patterns and what they need. And these things are a lot easier to do, honestly, when you start designing a platform. It's extremely hard to retrofit an existing thing to have these controls.